If you know me, you know I'm a big Dove Cameron aficionado, a Dove Cameron connoisseur, if you will, a Dove Cameron super fan. Um, I asked her out to homecoming sophomore year. She did not respond to me. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about her movies that she's been in. She's been in a total of 9 feature-length movies, plus a handful of like Disney celebration specials. I won't be talking about those. But her movies, there are 9 of them. I'm gonna rank them. I've seen them all, of course, obviously. Who hasn't? And so here we go. Starting off at the bottom of the list, we have Under the Sea. This is technically not a movie. It's just a 10-minute little music video that was used as like promotion for Descendants 3. So I, can't really like accurately rate it. I'm just throwing this in here because I mean technically it's a thing Dove Cameron was in, and yeah, there's not much to say about it. It's just a music video with China Anne McClain. They sing, it's a good time. The end. Next, I'm going to talk about the Marvel Rising series. These also, again, technically are not movies. These are like 20-minute episodes about teenage Marvel characters, where Dove Cameron voices Spider-Gwen. I've only seen like 3 of these, so I don't know which ones are the best. I've seen the 2 that Dove Cameron is primarily in, and they're fine. They're just short little compact stories. They seem pretty rushed because they're only 20 minutes long, and you have to have a big battle at the end, so the plot is just happening super fast in front of you, and hey, it's made for kids with short attention spans, so I get it. So next we'll get into the actual movies now. Now we're getting into the actual feature-length movies. I'm rating these based off of how good the movies are, not based on like Dove Cameron's performance or anything. That's a whole other list. So these are just based on how good the movies are. And at the bottom of the list is R.L. Stine's Monsterville Cabinet of Souls. Dove Cameron just plays a teenage girl. She doesn't really have to do much acting. She's just there. It's about the fair comes into town, and there's this creepy like haunted house, and there's this guy who like traps people's souls, and he's turning kids into monsters, and Dove Cameron's gonna get to the bottom of this. And I think the biggest flaw with this movie is just the weird pacing of it all, because they want like basically only the creepy stuff can happen at night, obviously, and so the whole movie can't fit into one night. So then you just have this group of teenagers visiting the same exact county fair for like 5 nights in a row, and they go into this haunted house every single night. It's like what's gonna be different? When I go to the county fair, I only go one day. That's all I need. And these people just keep on coming over and over again, and you're not sure why, but then I guess as the movie continues, it's like, okay, now these people are catching on, there's secrets, and they're going to solve the thing. And it's just overall just kind of boring. There's not really any creepy stuff or like monsters until like halfway through the movie. And yeah, just none of the acting is exceptional. It's just kids Halloween movie. There's a ton other Halloween movies that are better than this one, so I'd recommend maybe skipping it this Halloween season. Next we have Cloud 9, which is Dove Cameron's first acting role in Disney Channel, or like a movie ever, I'm pretty sure. And so with that being said, she does a pretty good job in it. It's fine. It's just your standard Disney Channel sports movie. The underdog, wins in the end. This one's about snowboarding. And there's a part where like she cries, and it's like, oh, that's like more emotion than Monsterville. So not to say that this is a bad movie. It's just everything else that she's done after this is a better movie. So it's just the standard recipe for a Disney Channel sports movie. Not much else to say after that. It's a good debut movie. Next, we have Barely Lethal. I'm not sure anyone other than me has seen this movie. It's not made by Disney Channel, it's made by A24. Yes, that A24. This is a spy movie, kind of. It's about this girl who's not Dove Cameron. Uh, it's this girl who she gets raised in like a spy academy. There's this spy academy who raises young girls to become spies, of course, and this girl just wants a normal life, and so she fakes her death and runs away, and oh look, she's stuck in a suburban home living with Dove Cameron now as like her adoptive sister. Again, Dove Cameron just plays a teenage girl. This time she's a little, bratty, because it's like, oh, I don't want a sister kind of thing. But it's a weird movie because it's rated PG-13, even though it's written exactly like a kid's movie. It has the plot, it has the writing, it visually looks like one. This is, if A24 made a Disney Channel original movie, this would be it. But at the same time, it's weird because they shoot guns and they make sex jokes. There's this one dad character whose only function is just to make sex jokes, and so the demographic kind of gets lost because as a whole this should be a kids movie, but then they just go and just sprinkle in a few sex jokes and violence, and it's like no teenager would watch this. You have to make it less of a kids movie for any teenager to be interested in this. And plus there's like this party scene where people like get drunk and stuff, and Dove Cameron, her character gets drunk and she ends up like in a bathtub, fully clothed, with like this other guy, and they're just talking about life. And I really liked that scene because it's a part of a Dove Cameron's acting we don't get to see. She doesn't get to play characters who get drunk, so it's just kind of a breath of fresh air in the Dove Cameron cinematic universe, to see her play a character kind of like older for more of a mature movie, even though this movie should be made for kids. Just cut the sex jokes out, and this is what you got. It also has Haley Steinfeld as the main girl and Samuel L. Jackson in it. It's like, I don't know why just no one talks about this movie, probably because it's just bad, and A24 just makes so many other stuff worth talking about, and so this one just kind of gets hid in their catalog, even though it kind of has like a star-studded cast, if you ask me. But yeah, that's Barely Lethal. If it sounds interesting, maybe you should check it out if you're like an A24 fan, but it's nothing to write home about. Next we have Descendants 3. Now these are the movies Dove Cameron is known for. She's the main character. She plays Mal, Maleficent's daughter. And Descendants 3, I put it as the worst of the Descendants movies. I don't think any of the Descendants movies are like bad per se or like completely terrible. It's just that Descendants 3 I think is elevated because of the other two movies before it. Descendants 3 is basically the Avengers Endgame of the Descendants universe, where all the characters we've met come together and they fight to defeat the bigger evil, and it's pretty much a great conclusion to the trilogy. And it wouldn't be a great conclusion to the trilogy without the other two movies being as good as they are. And plus just the songs in this one aren't the best. It's probably, they have the worst songs out of the three movies. There's this one song I like with Hades, who's spoiler alert, Mal's dad. They have a fun song. It's about like, oh, I left you as a kid because you're strong now because I left you. And so that's like a fun dynamic. It's like, you wish you had me in your life, but if I didn't, if I was in your life, then you wouldn't be who you are now. Don't you like who you are now? So that was a fun dynamic, even though Hades is like barely in the movie. And then just the villain is the worst out of all three movies. It's Audrey, who was in the first movie but not in the second movie, so now she just shows up out of nowhere in the third movie because she was not talked about at all in the second, and so she just kind of shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, well, we need a villain, and so might as well just make it her. And her motivation of being the villain is from the first movie, so really this should probably work better as the sequel and not the third movie, villain-wise. But Yeah, so that's what makes it kind of the worst Descendants movie. But at the same time, you can't help but smile when you see all these characters who've been together these past two movies come together, and they go off on their own different adventures and then meet up at the end, and it's all big happy stuff. And so yeah, that's Descendants 3. Next we have the first Descendants. Would you look at that? It kind of established, everything that was built off of it. And, it needs credit for that, because some Disney Channel movies just don't stick. You can clearly tell there's some Disney Channel movies they want to make sequels for, but then they just weren't popular enough. And they really tried milking zombies, but they just didn't turn out, because something like Descendants and like High School Musical, that's just like lightning in a bottle that you just have to capture, and they captured it right here, right now, and they created this big whole fandom and universe around it, and Dove Cameron, does a good job, carrying this movie pretty much. Not to say the other actors are bad and she has to carry them, because all four of them have very good chemistry together and work well together. The songs in this are also the best out of the trilogy. There are just consistently more good songs in this one. And, it's just the thing that established it all. So yeah, that's Descendants. Next on the list is maybe a surprise to some of you. It's Angry Birds 2. Now, Dove Cameron has about like 5 lines in this. She just voices one of the birds. It's just kind of a throwaway character, but she's technically in it, so gotta count it as a Dove Cameron movie. And Angry Birds 2 is just, at its core, it's just funny and entertaining. That's all it had to be, and that's what it is. It's basically all the charm of the Lego movie, but just without any of the like philosophical conflict of the Lego movie. It's just dumb fun. There are surprisingly a handful of jokes that land, and I was laughing out loud during it, and I don't know why. It's just it's Angry Birds 2. It doesn't have the right to be this good, but somehow it is. And probably also no one else has seen this, probably like every single movie on this list. But I had a good time watching it. Next is Descendants 2. Yes, I think this is the best Descendants movie. It definitely has the most internal conflict out of all of them with Mal. She's really has this conflict within her of who she's having, this identity crisis of, she's about to become princess over here, but she was born over here and her heart belongs over here, and is she really this person, or does she force herself to be this person? And so that's what makes this, I think, the best Descendants movie. It also has the best choreography out of all of them. These are all very heavy dance movies, and this one just has the best choreography. There's a part where there's like on a pirate ship and they're singing, and they make like a clock out of swords. It's cool. China Anne McClain as the villain. She's good in this. They're just the Descendants movies. They're a fun time all around, and this is just the best one. And my only real problem with it is that at some points, especially like on that pirate ship I talked about earlier, you can like clearly tell that like it was like a sound stage, and some of the sets are not the best, but a lot of the sets in these movies are very just visually cool to look at, even though some the CGI is cheap and stupid. It's fun. That's the fun of a Disney Channel movie. You just have to go along with it. Number 2, we got Dumplin'. This is probably the movie that maybe most people have seen. It's Dove Cameron is kind of not necessarily the villain, but she's just kind of the popular pretty girl. She basically, again, only has like 5 lines in this. All she has to do is stand there and look pretty, and that's what she does. She's great at it. And That's all it is. I think as a movie as a whole, it's a great coming of age story, something that we don't see enough of. A young girl struggling with her body image and, learning to love herself. And Dove Cameron isn't necessarily mean towards her, it's just that the main character looks at Dove Cameron and says, "Oh, I wish I was like her," and that's kind of the internal conflict that she's having. And of course, since this is not the budget of a Disney Channel movie, it's just technically on a technical level just better, and so yeah, that's Dumpling. I thought it was good. Of course, it doesn't have to appeal to kids because it's not Disney Channel. And even though Dove Cameron has a small part in this, she works well with the ensemble and it creates a good movie. All right, number one, we got Hairspray Live. Now, if you don't count this as like a real movie, then fine, just pretend I put Dumpling as number one. But I'm putting Hairspray Live as number one. This was a live broadcast television event of just a bunch of famous people doing Hairspray, the musical, and it's just so charming to watch. It really captures the feeling of live theater through a TV screen, and you watch like these behind the scenes of these fast costume changes and people driving on golf carts to get to the next set in like 30 seconds, and it's just great. Dove Cameron plays what's her face, Amber Von Tussle, and Christian Chenoweth plays her mom in this one too. Christian Chenoweth plays Maleficent in the Descendants movies, and so you can clearly tell the two of them have a great chemistry together, and it's just fun. It's Hairspray, you know. And let me just read this cast out to you because it's just amazing. Okay, so we have Dove Cameron, of course, Christian Chenoweth, I already mentioned, Garrett Clayton from the Teen Beach movies, Ariana Grande, of course, Jennifer Hudson, Martin Short, and then we have as Tracy, Maddie Bailio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. You might be like, oh, who is she? You look her up. Oh my gosh, she was in Dumpling. It's just a crazy coincidence. I don't know. I think it's just cool. Yeah, it's just charming. It's fun. It's Hairspray. You know, we know the story, and now it's just a bunch of celebrities doing it with good production value, and you know, it's just a fun time to watch. And so yeah, that's all that Dove Cameron has been in. I can't wait to see her more in the future. Possibly break out of these Disney Channel roles, do something a little more mature, expand her palette. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next vid. Hey guys, one last thing. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm wearing a Cameron Boyce Foundation t-shirt. Cameron Boyce, of course, is Dove Cameron's co-star in Descendants, and he was in Jessie and so many other beloved things from your childhood. And of course, he passed away summer of 2019. And so the Cameron Boyce Foundation helps to cure epilepsy and gun violence, two things Cameron Boyce was a very activist about. And so if you're interested in donating to that foundation, or they just released some new merch, I'll put the link in the description. Go support them out. Dove Cameron is like a chair member of like the foundation, and there are so many other famous people that support it too. And so go check it out. It's a great cause, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm